Are many, but the first discussion we're going to have is going to ask. I'm going to ask my colleagues here if they don't mind putting on their headphones, because we're going to be listening to Sheila Sechi, spokesperson for the First Lady of the Republic of Ghana. We just want to get a sense of what happened, what transpired that led to the decision for the First Lady has taken, so that we can then talk about it after that. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
I'm fine. The line isn't very clear.
Right. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Excellent. We've heard what the First Lady has said, but can you just perhaps summarize the reason for it and exactly what the message is that she wants to put out there?
Okay. The First Lady has issued a statement. There's a statement from her seeking to not take the allowance as suggested, and then also to refund what she's received since she became First Lady. So that is what the statement essentially is about. And the reason for it is because of the controversy that's come about as a result of this. And it's not so much, it's just so she can concentrate on the work she does as First Lady and championing the well-being of women and children. You know, First Lady, Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo, she's not a person who likes controversy or likes to wade into controversy. She's a good, kind-hearted woman who's determined to do the very best she can do for Ghana, especially for women and children. So she wants to be able to focus on that, and then also to pull Ghanaians along with her to focus on improving the well-being of women and children, and not wade into all of this.
Yeah, Ms. Sechi, the problem some might have is that in doing this, she's bowing to the rhetoric, and maybe she should stand her ground and not be swayed by conversation. What would be your thinking about that?
Well, I think yeah, people might think that rightly so, but if you do know her, then it would really make you understand why she would take a decision like this. She's not a person who enjoys controversy. She's just a calm, person of peace who just wants to get on with her work. She doesn't like much fuss. So this is creating a lot of fuss and taking away from the other things that we could all be doing to be productive. So that is where this is coming from. It's not so much about the giving in to the rhetoric, but then as we say in Ghana, she's a mother, and as a mother, when things are going on around you, you have to take certain decisions to ensure that things are quieted and everything goes back to how it's supposed to be.
Right. In the meantime, the First Lady almost automatically is a member of certain, even international organizations like AFLAG and things like that. How is that going to be able? How would that affect her work? I mean, not to say that she wasn't going to do the work, but surely being rewarded for actual work done. Isn't it incumbent upon her to also explain the kinds of work that she is doing as well?
Okay, if I heard you, the line isn't so great, but if I heard you, you're asking how this will affect her work, the work she does as First Lady internationally.
Yes.
Yes. It wouldn't affect her work. The First Lady is still very committed to fulfilling all her duties internationally as First Lady, being the main hostess for Ghana, being a chief diplomat for Ghana, taking on roles that would push Ghana in a good light and achieve many good things for Ghana, and being able to sort of carry herself in that way. She's still very committed to it, and I think we'll see a lot more from her going forward. This has nothing to do with her capacity to do the work that she needs to do as First Lady or achieve as First Lady. She's always been somebody who is quite keen to get the job done, quite eager to do it excellently. So this will definitely not change that.
Yeah, we keep on. Both of us have been referring to this as work, as a job. So we both recognize that it's a job of work. If the First Lady takes this kind of stance now, how does that augur for subsequent First Ladies going forward?
I think that's a conversation that should be ongoing, that we need to figure out exactly that. And I think there's a lot of misunderstanding going, and misconception going round. We need to sort of have that conversation around that. But I think, this is a role that people come to and then they sort of try to, for the most part, make it their own. So the First Lady is obligated to do certain things for the country upon the assumption of that role. So, for instance, Mrs. Rebecca Kufuor is expected to be the premier person for HIV/AIDS. She's expected to be a nutrition champion for Africa. She's expected to be a premier person for CODVET, and so on and so forth. There are quite a few other things that she's championing. And then she's also expected to support her husband to receive foreign dignitaries, presidents and guests, and host them, etc. So these are the things that traditionally we expect of them. And then you get a First Lady like Mrs. Rebecca Kufuor, who's done a lot more than what is expected by establishing the Rebecca Foundation, by creating alliances, partnerships, by doing so much more for adolescent girls, for children's education, building libraries, schools, resourcing schools, by taking, by taking special interest in special needs children, refurbishing the Braille Center so that all children who have sight impairments can have access to books and textbooks, etc. So this is the First Lady who may have gone, or definitely has gone, over and above what is expected traditionally of what First Ladies do. And I think that is a thing, sort of like a pattern that you would be seeing going forward, having set the standard. So that's definitely a conversation we all need to have. But as I said earlier, this is not her decision to sort of refund what allowances she's received and to not take any other allowances will not in any way at all stand in the way or impede her ability to do her work, or her willingness or her capacity to do it. Not at all.
Okay, Sheila, before I let you go, I've got to ask this question, though. Has the First Lady, in her own character and demeanor over the last few days, what has been her own, emotional response to this? Has she been saddened? How does she feel about the kinds of comments that have been made?
Oh, not at all. I think if you're in the public space, it is to be expected sometimes. So she's not been saddened by it. She's not, of course, she's been concerned by it, as anyone would expect, but she's not been saddened by it. She's not been riled by it in any way. And she's just going on with her duties as First Lady as she would. But then she took this decision together with her husband to let this leave this salary thing or this allowance thing on the side so that she could focus on her job and get Ghanaians to also focus on the things that matter in our national development.
All right. I'm going to say thank you very much for joining us. I'm sorry you can't hear me too well, but thank you so much for your comments.
Thank you very much.
And bringing us up to date on what's going on.
Okay,
thank you. Thank you.
Sheila
Sechi is the spokesperson for the First Lady, the Office of the First Lady of the Republic of Ghana. Just so that you're aware, the Second Lady of the Republic is also refunding her allowances and declining the approved salaries established by the committee. So going forward, the two top ladies have taken a very specific position. Gentlemen, you know what the first question is going to be. And if you don't know, you can anticipate. First of all, welcome and thank you for being here. I'm going to start with Mark, because you're smiling, you're laughing. Mark, good morning.
Good morning, Kojo.
What do you think? I want to know, what do you think? Right decision, wrong decision? She should be swayed by what the public says and national conversation, so you take such a decision. And like I'm asking, I want to know what it means for subsequent First Ladies and what should others be doing?
A very good morning to all of us.
Good morning.
I think it's a good call from the first lady and then the second lady to actually take a decision to refund the money, because myself, I was seriously against that decision by the Ntiamwa committee coming out with that particular decision to put our first ladies and second ladies on salary. I had a different opinion, which of course, and in the course of our discussions, I may probably put it out. But I don't think this has anything to do with the emotional feelings of the first lady, in the sense that listening to the spokesperson of our first lady, I was thinking she was going to quote some constitutional defense to the decision by the Ntiamwa committee to give out salaries to first and second ladies, because clearly they are not part of the Article 71 holders as far as our constitution is concerned. We really appreciate the good works they are doing, looking at the foundations they have and all that she's going to be put on a committee to look at COVID relief, empowering women and all that stuff. There are things that comes with budgets. And when they are with budgets, of course, yes, whatever expenses they are going to incur will actually be shown in that. Now, when we look at the work she is doing with relations to helping children and others, falls under a particular ministry. And that ministry has a minister who have been assigned duties to perform. And so if she's doing an auxiliary work, I think there are budgets that should be given to her to take up those issues. Quite apart from that, they were on how do you call it? The other money they give them. Is it allowances.
Emoluments.
Yes.
Allowances.
Yes. So I think the allowances should be able to do some of these things. And as people are saying, it is out of their minds that yes, a man should be able to take care of the wife. Fine. Putting that aside, we understand the good work they are doing. Receiving foreigners, receiving important personalities for the president and all that. It is a good job. But is that an assigned role stipulated by the Constitution as an Article 71 holder? It is no. So for me, it is a good decision by her, listening to the outcry of the people of Ghana when there are many challenges we need money to attend to. And, the husband represents people. And it is in her interest that the husband will be able to lead a good example by delivering the promises he had given out to the people of Ghana. And so for her coming out to say she's no more taking the money, it's one of the best decisions she had ever taken. And I really congratulate her for that.
Well, she's not more taking the money, she's returning the allowances. Now, you made the distinction between allowances and salaries. Exactly. So let's keep with that. That is the allowances that have been paid and were being paid normally under convention since many years now. Yes. So she's refunding all that money. Is that a good decision?
I think the allowance shouldn't have been refunded. If it's about the salary, for me, I was against the
she
salary.
hasn't received a salary. I mean, the point is, it was now being discussed, so she's never received a salary. Again, are we clear that if the salary had been exactly the same amount of money as the salary was going to be, would we be having this discussion?
Of course, yes.
Okay, all right.
Because Ghanaians will be looking at the quantum of the money.
Yeah, but you weren't looking at the quantum of the money when it was an allowance.
That is why I was of the view that the salary issue shouldn't have even come up.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Understood. Got you there. Mr. Kofi, what are you feeling at this morning? How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, Peter Bismarck Kofi. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I support the fact that she shouldn't have refunded the money, because
she shouldn't have refunded.
No, she shouldn't have done that. The entire conversation is around emoluments. And besides, the thing is about recommendations from the Ntiamwa committee. Parliament has approved that money to be paid, but the monies have not been paid. So what you refunded is allowance, which is not part of the entire conversation in the public domain.
Right.
No one is questioning how much you receive a month per the allowance you
were getting anyway.
Yeah, no one is questioning that. Now, when the monies were approved by Parliament, if you had received a penny out of that decision from Parliament, then you have that right to refund. That is where the conversation is. But for you to refund allowances, people are not being concerned about. People are not even interested about how much you receive.
Peter, say you are not concerned about it. But
Well-
don't say people, because we've read some of the comments and why should the First Lady be paid anything at all? They should just be doing this sacrificially for the country. Those kinds of conversations are also being had.
Like you mentioned the convention, that, I mean, the position is just a ceremonial position. And then Article 71, almost the officers had been exhausted.
Right.
So, per Intiama's report, it's a recommendation. And if you read the report carefully, there is a portion that says that approved recommendations, Parliament should enact laws.
Yes.
You get it? Here, Parliament didn't enact laws to approve the recommendation on paying salaries to the first and second ladies. So I wouldn't want to go into the legality aspect of that. But per what we have now on the first lady's refund, I think it is a misplaced decision, because.
But it's not being guided by people having conversations that are quite harmful.
Still, the conversation is around Article 71.
Well,
It is.
Peter,
She was being
Peter,
paid. No,
it's
she was
not
being
just being-
paid. She was being paid since 2017, and other first ladies also received
Yes,
these
right.
allowances. No one has spoken about it. Even when the conversation on the approved decision from Parliament, no one's even asking how much she's receiving.
Yeah,
for the
but
allowance.
if you are sitting in a place and you're being vilified for taking money, whether it's a salary thing or whatever, you're just sitting there and then people are just vilifying you.
No.
And you don't do anything. You only cook for your husband. Why would he be taking any money?
No,
Those
look,
kinds of things.
Look, let's be sincere. Let's be very honest. The first ladies and the second ladies are doing so well. If she has she's refunding all the money she's
ever received.
Yes. You know, there's also a budget to her office. Is she going to refund the budget given to her office as well? So let's limit the conversation to Article 71. But the recommendation coming from the TMS committee is not about allowances. No one is asking you to refund allowances, and no one is saying that you're not working. Yes, you do work. At least it's a ceremonial position, but you do work. So who should fund those trips, those diplomatic conversations? Who should fund those things? At least allowances are okay. And if you look at the calculations, it seems should be taking around 16,649 Ghana cedis a month. And that is an allowance to take care of other things you'll be doing. But I think the whole conversation was around Article 71 emoluments. So refunding that money, I think it's a misplaced decision, because no one is asking you to refund that. Okay. See, if the money had been paid from Parliament, that is where we will ask you to.
I think you're missing the point. I'm not saying that anybody came up to her and said refund everything, but if you have conversations, sometimes misguided conversations, or just because you're upset because the kids are still going to school in dodgy circumstances. We still don't have this, that, and the other. And people have said it. Peter, maybe you were not part of those conversations, but they've been had on social media. And then I sit there as the First Lady and I'm thinking, so basically everything I do, you're telling me I don't do anything. It's nothing to do with your conversations. You're having a conversation about Article 71, but conversations in the national space have been far wider than that, by people who perhaps didn't understand the broader implications, like you're putting it, and that informs the decision. And you're saying she shouldn't have reacted.
No, you see, from day one, when we had the news that Parliament had approved emoluments or salaries for first and second ladies, that is where the conversation started.
Okay, all right.
You see, already we've been expanding the list of individuals on Article 71, but we have not expanded the office of Article 71. That is why the recommendation is saying that approved recommendations should be enacted into law by Parliament. That is speaking to those emoluments. But the allowances are not being something everybody is asking about, because already we didn't even know how much the First Lady is even taking home.
Until such a time as it came up as
exactly, and nobody also is questioning why she's taking that amount, because we don't know.
Okay.
But the whole thing had to do with Article 71. So I don't know why the conversation has shifted from Article 71 for it to refund allowances which people are not much interested in, but much interested in Article 71 emolument.
Okay. All right. Peter, you're not interested in allowances per se, just in the fact that it has been turned.
No, they are working. At least they are working.
Honorable. Your thoughts, and I think both gentlemen here agree that the First Lady actually should be receiving an allowance, so they're clear on that. So, Honourable, your own thinking, I think you've heard what I'm asking. I'm trying to get from Peter, but Peter wants the First Lady to behave like a politician with thick skin.
Well, good morning to our viewers and listeners this morning, and good morning to my co-panelists and your good selves. It's quite unfortunate how this discussion is going, and I think that Ghana is quite an interesting country, and these approvals by Parliament was done in the last Parliament. Until the financial agreement to acquire vehicles for members of Parliament, I mean, that was a highlight that brought all these things. Otherwise, these were things that were done long ago. With the media present in Parliament as the bills were sent to Parliament for approval and subsequently so, it's quite interesting that until these 28 million to purchase vehicles for members of Parliament got to the public domain, then this whole brouhaha has erupted. Quite unfortunate. And there are three things here. First of all, the allowances has long existed from 2000 to date, and records supports that. Even the former Chief of Staff, Nana Atudazi, has said so. The former President of the Republic has also said same. So there's no doubt that the former First Lady, Second Ladies had received some allowances from the state all this while. But it's always been discretional, as it were. Then we say, the committee, it is not the president. The committee says that these things have been in our books. Let us formalize it. So where is the contention here? Where is the contention? I mean, those who are traveling on legality, then you ask yourself, do the Anamwa committee has a mandate or the legal remit to decide on that particular matter? Because the remit of Article 71 office holders is defined in the Constitution. So to begin with, you have a mandate to decide unless that committee has been given additional responsibility, then they can travel in the other realms. Right? Then they can travel in other realms. So these are legitimate questions that we should ask. That do the committee has a mandate to even look at first and second ladies for that matter? Because by the strict application of Article 71 and the subsequent setting up of a committee is limited to the Article 71 office holders. So legally, I beg to say, they deviated from their mandate. That's fine.
The one might challenge you, because if you read the same letter appointing the committee, it's clear that any other matters relevant.
Exactly.
I'm going there. Yeah. I'm going there in a second leg. I'm making a point. I'm going there in a second leg. The authority appointing them, if it gives them additional responsibility, then again, we should bear in mind that this is a recommendation and not a final to say that go do this. So it was brought to the good people of this country. So that particular provision of legality cannot be challenged. So that argument is mute. So to begin with, because the authority appointing the committee says any other matter, and this is a matter of national interest and national concern, because these former first ladies, look, we all know the late President Hilary Man's the condition of the wife. In 2001, 2002, act was reported. Sometimes the electricity in their homes was even cut off. And they had lived in that condition for a very long time. So that is not in contention as to the allowances paid to these people. So what the committee is recommending is that formalize these things. So that today, somebody comes to us and says, I don't like you. You're my predecessor. I don't like the way your husband treated me. So for that matter, I'm cutting your allowance because it's discretionary. So let's only formalize it. And these recommendations were sent to Parliament. And Parliament has subsequently approved it. And you see, the sad thing about this whole thing, we've seen flyers on social media. Akufo-Addo is now paying the wife and the Bawumia's wife. the media reportage, the social media attacks, I feel sorry for my mother because the whole conversation was centered around her and Samira Baumia. They made it look like they were the only beneficiaries of this scheme. It took the likes of Nana Atu-Dadzie, even that the NDC attack dogs will not listen. We follow them on social media, we follow their commentary. People call you honorable. So why is it that Akufo-Addo is paying the wife? So that is not the case. You take time and explain to people and say, but if that is the case, why this noise? Now, the First Lady in her letter clearly stated, her decision is not in prejudice of somebody's decision tomorrow. And I think the Second Lady is following suit. The propaganda about this, it's sickening, to say the least, because these had long existed. And to her office, what is the issue to even regularize it? It is even in the interest of the state, so that you can properly account for this. And that becomes a problem. I don't know where we're going as a country. So for me, the decision to refund, yes, it's pushing the argument further that let us formalize the operations of the offices of the First Lady and the Second Lady for that matter.
Right.
We should be taking the giant step and bringing the bill to Parliament to formalize it.
Well, I'm going to ask you, and again, because you people represent us, did you not fail us a little bit when the thing came to you as a recommendation? When at that moment you should have said, but the other way we can do this is actually we have to actually come up with a law. Can a private member's bill be passed that is even agreed by all of us that to make this thing statutory, it has to come as a law?
In fact, you see, the allowance or the salary is one thing, and legalizing the operations of the office is another thing.
Honourable, I know
in this case,
you're very good at defending Parliament, but on this one, did you fail us? Yes
no,
or no?
we didn't, because Parliament has not had a problem with this.
What?
No, Parliament has not had a problem with this.
The people you represent have a
The
problem.
people we represent, you see, you may take a decision. I represent about 115,000 registered voters in my constituency. I go to Parliament and take a decision. Immediately, they may not even understand. You need to take time to explain. And Parliament as an institution has not had problem with this arrangement. Has not had a problem with this arrangement. The fact that people are complaining, we need to take time and explain. And that's what we are doing.
See,
so Parliament, for that matter, has not had a problem.
Boss.
Parliament has not had a problem with the decision it took.
Honourable, speak for yourself when you say we. Because
I say
I'm
we
sorry,
because
Parliament has not explained this.
No, but we will. But I am explaining today in my personal capacity as a member of Parliament.
Yes.
But I'm saying that until an official position of Parliament is given, we stand by the decision it took. Right. And for that reason, we have not had a problem with it. Otherwise, it would have been raised. And nobody, you can go to the Hansard, there was no objection to this arrangement in the sense of Parliament in its practice. This is an arrangement that has been formalized.
Okay.
So we should get it clear that these decisions are coming today out of hate for some personalities of this country, and it's been championed by a political party, the NDC.
Okay.
I have a problem. Uncle Kojo.
Yes.
You see, so Parliament approved these emoluments, right?
No, it approved now a salary.
Salaries, right? on one principle, how do we define the office of the First Lady? What are the functions? How do we hold them accountable? Because remember, the principles of democracy is about accountability. And once you are receiving public money, you should be accountable to the people.
But you just said you didn't have a problem with allowances. No,
you are talking about the salary.
On what basis were allowances paid?
This time you're talking about the salary.
No, so what's the difference?
You're talking about the salary, and which has been approved by Parliament. You see, but per the recommendation, it says enact a law so that we can define the functions of the First Lady and the Second Ladies. Then we can have the records and then the energy to hold them accountable.
I agree. So there are two things we are talking about here.
But we don't have that. Already they are receiving
I'm not sure it's determinant on the enacting of a law. The allowances that long existed, and you've never had a problem with it.
But
you've never had a problem with it.
Okay,
Listen,
Honourable.
you've never had a problem with it.
I agree with that.
Honourable, we never had a problem, partly because we didn't know.
You didn't know.
Who says so?
Yes, we know. It was even today I got to know that the lady.
You say you don't know.
I never knew the First Lady is receiving 16,000 Ghana cedis. I never knew. This is the first time.
So the thing when working for pro bono.
No, but I thought something.
He made mention of former First Lady Mrs. Fuller Liman.
Right.
somewhere 2008, at the 20th anniversary celebration of the late former man, His Excellency the President Akufo-Addo made a statement that he's going to reinstate the First Lady to a position of a First Lady. That is Mrs. Fullerly, man. So this tells you that, was there something coming to the woman that people were blocking? Because having a personal conversation with the woman, it appears that there was some few things, that resources that were supposed to be given her to take care of, as you were saying, but it wasn't forthcoming. And so there was one of our events we went, she granted an interview, complained about that, and later had to call me that no, that wasn't the statement she made. She is okay. So since when did we start paying this money? Did it start from 2017? Or it started...
You mean the allowance?
Yes.
Yeah, from 2000.
From 2000.
Yeah.
And the woman complained just after the 2000. Right. So it means that the money wasn't going.
So it is this committee that is recommending. Yeah, that's recommending.
So if you're formalizing it, is it to go with the salaries and under the Article 71? At which particular gender do we position them? When it comes to matters of accountability, how do they even account to
Which
us?
is exactly what Peter is talking about.
Impeachment, how can we impeach them?
Which comes back to my question.
No, it's part of democratic processes, no matter what.
So how come there are two people, going to the Supreme Court to as it is, get an explanation to the Article 71 as to who who are entitled to.
They were not going for that. Because
they are saying it's unconstitutional.
No, I'm sorry.
They said it's unconstitutional.
They were challenging the constitutionality of the Ntiamwa committee coming up with even those recommendations, which obviously somebody will say, well, like common sense says to me, if I say all other relevant matters that are to do with the public purse, and I view the first and second ladies as possibly public office holders, then I can put them there as a recommendation.
Right.
But anyway, it's a discussion for the Supreme Court. We can't preempt what they'll say.
But I think that we must stretch the argument. You see, the salaries or the allowances is one thing. The operations of the office is another. To define what they can do, what they cannot do, then we go into the second leg of really regularizing.
But you just don't want to take responsibility that your parliament should have raised the issue at that time. I don't understand that.
No.
I mean,
Kojo, you see, the sad thing about this whole thing, as I sit here today, my salary as a member of parliament is not known. It will be known at the end of my tenure.
Right.
Sadly, the MP salary today, so it will be bogged down to say we are giving you ex gratia. My salary difference, what I'm taking the salary of the 7th parliament. I'm in the 8th parliament. It will be determined at the end of my tenure. So the difference, if it's paid to me, then they say, hey, you've taken so much ex gratia, and the public is polluted. We are even calling for immediate determination of my salary right from the word go, so that I don't have a backlog to be paid to a member of parliament at the end of his tenure.
Okay.
I agree with you. That look, the argument should be stretched. That let us define this. But I think that the salary or the allowance that had been paid long ago, formalize it. You can still take steps. The recommendations of the committee, I'm not too sure, is saying that until all other recommendations are met, stop paying them allowances. I'm not too sure. So we are not done yet. The recommendations are still available until the next committee is formed.
I think we have already formalized the allowance.
So we
only have to legalize it.
Right.
So that we can define
agree
what their job is.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I mean that is pending. I can comfortably say it's pending. But the issue of allowances and then formalizing it to salaries, I mean that I'm not sure until you get the act or the law should be on hold.
They should have been approved by Parliament.
No, please.
You failed us. I don't understand why Parliament doesn't want to accept
it. It should be approved by Parliament.
Anyway.
But I'm not too sure every recommendations of a committee, but that sense says that it should be taken in its entirety. But it doesn't also mean that we don't have room, because we're talking about two different things here. And I'm not sure it's conditional on the allowances or the salaries as we are discussing today. So for me, the First Lady's decision today, check how there's another group that is calling on the former First Lady Lordina to follow suit and refund. Which I think, I'm saying that the public discourse and the social media thing is quite unfortunate.
I think
When an
Parliament is
issue
not-
erupts, we must take our time to dissect the issues properly. The way they vilified the first lady and the second lady last week, it's so sad. I ask myself, how much are we talking about here? The office of a former first lady, 22,000, and this whole country as if the president has done the unthinkable. And people were shocked to know that these had long existed, even before Nanado assuming office as the president of the republic.
I think
so.
Most didn't read the report thoroughly because, look, the report is highly comprehensive.
Yes.
And it speaks to a lot of things. And remember that the committee is already talking about recommendations. Okay. The mistake that led to all this kind of ranting all over is because Parliament approved those emoluments without legalizing the process.
No.
Of which we can define the office for the first lady. No, look.
I disagree with you entirely. I disagree.
You are paying public money to the first lady. We do not know
in that
the
same
office.
committee report. It recommends that of Article 71 office holders that has been vilified in this country, the entire emolument of Article 71 office holders is just about 1% of the public person.
Less than 1%.
It's less than 1%. And they recommend that it should be adjusted. Now you're not saying we should.
No. He said it should be adjusted.
Look at it again.
He said the emolument should be adjusted, but not the expansion of the office. See, we are adding
That
less.
is also in the recommendation.
We are adding. It says we are adding lots of names to the Article 71, but we have not expanded the offices. You get it? So we have the exhausted names or offices we have to pay them under Article 71, but we have not expanded those offices, of which the first lady should be part. So when we expand the offices, then we have to legalize it because then we have to amend the entire
We are
constitution.
talking about two different things.
No, not two different things here. Look,
Okay, gentlemen.
if you cannot approve, if you are able to approve something with that law, and we cannot hold the people accountable per the functions of
Gentlemen.
how we should pay them that.
You should
I
understand
understand.
the
Gentlemen.
allowances being formalized.
I'm not
is
against
different
the-
from the
the-
enactment of the law to formalize operations of the office.
In what definition? What are
It
the
is
functions?
not.
What are the functions of the first lady?
It is. You see, that is why people are in Supreme Court for the legality of this. But I'm saying
Because
that
Parliament caused that.
Parliament
You see,
caused what?
Why are people?
Parliament caused anything.
Parliament caused what? That's what people are going to
Yo.
Okay.
court.
All right. We're going to have a disagreement on this. And you know where I stand because I'm quite clearly there's something that perhaps if we had gotten more clarity from the get-go, maybe we wouldn't be standing where we're standing talking about the issue. I wanted to continue this discussion, but I think that gentlemen, you've more or less exhausted what are the major areas around this. But Nania, from a purely gender perspective on this, because I know you've got a certain thought process about this. So yeah, what is your thinking?
My thought processes are never purely genderized.
Oh yeah, okay, all right.
They are also
right.
from the point of view of thinking about the workings of government and public service in general, and the way one would like to see it work. It just goes back to a conversation that we had with Austin Game about
Yeah,
the
right.
same matter. His preference being for us to keep the fudge.
The convention.
So we have a convention that seems to work. Nobody knows about the detail of this except for the workings of the public service and the public service machinery. And they're happy with it, and it doesn't ruffle any feathers. So why don't we just keep up with the fudge? And my, if you like, response to that would be, but the more people get to know about the fudge, the more it will seem like a deliberate attempt to throw sand in the eyes of the public, dust in the eyes of the public, and not be accountable. We know that there are spouses of our senior members of government who either have to deny themselves income by virtue of being in the position in which they are, or incur additional expenses by virtue of the position in which they find themselves, or both. And there are certain needs that we have to cover, and those are needs that extend beyond the period of service of the person to whom they happen to be married. And therefore, it is right to think how, in the same way as you mentioned, for example, or somebody else mentioned the example of past presidents being entitled to drivers and cars on the state, and therefore a driver having to be paid by the state at state expense. And so the Ntiamoa Bwedu Committee, Beidou Committee, looking at how it could cover all those eventualities which are already taken care of by the state. I think I would hope that the First Lady's determined gesture, regardless of what you say, Peter, about the need, them being irrelevant. It's sort of, it's hors de question. It's beyond the terms of reference, as it were. But the gesture, one would hope, and I think she was very much hoping, would calm down the debate so that in the near future a more rational debate can be had about the basis on which spouses of presidents and vice presidents are remunerated, that Parliament can have an honest debate about it, that the public can participate in that debate, and that it not be personalised. But at the moment, because of certain actors' determination to personalise this, because it makes a good news story, we're not talking about what we should be talking about, the substantial matter. So when it calms down, and not years and years hence, I would hope within the medium term, if not the short term, we should have a debate about it, because it is a matter that has to be settled.
Okay, matter that has to be settled, one way or the other. We can disagree about who did what and who didn't do what. And up to now, it's been a convention and somewhat hidden from the public gaze in terms of the amounts involved. We can answer some people 22,000 cedis a month, and for others 16,000 cedis a month. It's all very all over the place, isn't it? So a lot still to be discussed on this one. Did the First Lady make a right decision? When you're talking about honor and integrity, you would say yes, off the top of your head, yeah, probably a great decision. But then again, the other side of that is, what is the example? Is it that every single time people say something, you take an honorable decision? Sometimes you have to just, bear it and say, let's move on, because you know what?
You just have to bite your tongue.
Yeah, because some of this is just ridiculous. I haven't done anything wrong. Why would I even act as if I've done something wrong? And that is another question. Has the First Lady done anything wrong? When you take a decision like this, it appears that you think you've done something wrong. And that is also a problem.
Well,
and that is the challenge.
I think, as I said, it's how you read the tone between the lines of the statement issued by the Office of the First Lady, and whether you regard the response as one of anger, defensiveness, whatever. I regard it as an attempt to settle the matter and set the record straight. And Peter would argue that it's a misplaced effort because it's not relevant. The expenses being returned are not relevant.
Well, I didn't say it's not.
He was
irrelevant.
disapproving of the fact that she'd done that, more or less.
Yeah, I'm saying that, the conversations around the Article 71. Yes. It is not around allowances.
So you're saying it's not relevant?
No, he's saying
because
that
she returned allowances.
No, I said it's a misplaced decision for her to return the allowances. But if she had received monies approved by Parliament, then if she's refunding that, because that is not within the law, because there hasn't been any
allowances are within the law.
No, just we have already formalized those allowances.
How?
But we have not legalized the allowances. That is where Parliament have to go back to the drawing board, enact a law,
yes,
and legalize the process, so we can define their offices.
But it is clear from her gesture that what she is saying is, I do not want this money from the state. I do not want to have any truck with it, because of the public response, not because of her judgment about
public
whether...
response to what? Is it to the allowances or to the conversation around Article 71?
It's a generalized response to the idea of a First Lady being remunerated for any expenses.
Exactly, full stop. Not about... And the
So
general
your
public... I don't know what...
between allowances and the salary is...
concerned about
I don't want to look at what the general public is saying. I don't want to look at what the general public is saying.
Why?
Let's
We're
concentrate
being
on-
listened to by the public over here. Read our Facebook
public
page.
opinion is key.
That's the basis on which she's partly making the decision. It is the national conversation. That's what she says in her own press release, because of the national conversation, not because of the measured discussion about Article 71. It's the national conversation. Why are first ladies even being given anything at all?
And the political conversation
And
about
that's
it, she
it.
said she's being presented as a venal and self-centered woman, and that's why she was returning the money.
Okay. Anyway,
And this was championed by the National Youth Organizer of the NDC.
Let's move on. I'm not going to turn it into a political discussion because a lot of people outside of politics also had a challenge with the First Lady and Second Lady being paid. Probably not have a challenge with simply telling me that it's an allowance. But certainly ordinary people, not necessarily voters even, simply because of the circumstance we find the country in. It's a discussion that must continue because I don't think that it can be left here as it is.
Yeah.
And we all agree that the first ladies of this republic and second ladies actually work.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
we agree.
We cannot run away from that fact. And so giving them allowances, for me, if it shouldn't have... It
So
shouldn't
if
have
you
been
work, how do you get an allowance for working? I mean, I don't understand that. Either you're being paid a salary or you're not being paid a salary. How do you get paid an allowance?
Elvis would say you should regard it as an honour to stand by the presidential bed
course.
and being allowed to hold his man bag.
That's
It's a
his own
privilege.
personal
So,
response.
I'm just
if he was
putting the other
married
side
to
of the
president.
argument.
Yes, and these are the arguments that are held, and this conversation that must be held dispassionately going forward. Gentlemen, thank you. It's 8 minutes past 9 o'clock. Let's all agree that something must be done on this one. Moving forward, something must be done about the way the senior bench in our judiciary seems to get itself into all sorts of scrapes. Not recently, not too far away from today, there's an issue of one doctor saying a few things that were found to be, or somebody found offensive and has reported the matter to the disciplinary committee for further decision on it. Now, there seems that our Chief Justice is embroiled somewhat in another matter where he has now petitioned the police to investigate allegations of bribery against him in the sum of 5 million. Now, before the 8 o'clock watershed, we spoke to the lawyer for the aggrieved party that brought the initial action for monies due to the stool and to the people of a specific part of Ghana, representing that particular stool and the lands, because they thought that, okay, if you've moved an eminent domain position on possession of land by the government to a state where the people who now own the land are a commercial enterprise, then we must be paid. So he takes the matter to court, is going to court, and all sorts of things happen with appointing of lawyers and non-appointing of lawyers, etc., etc. It gets to the point where now there's accusations and counter-accusations. Where we are today is that it seems to me that the office of the judiciary is being brought into some sort of public disrepute. Gentlemen, you've all read the comments and the stories. Mark, starting with you, what's going on, and why would we have this kind of situation again around the Chief Justice and the senior bench?
Thank you very much, Uncle Joe. I think this is a very serious issue and it's quite complicated in the sense that we are dealing with the Chief Justice of our land, who also forms part of the three arms of government we all running to look at, push forward our democracy. The whole issue evolves around Nana Ojidom, the Chief Justice, and then Kwesi Efifa, who is a former lawyer of Nana Ojidom. And as to how conversations went on, you realize that there are some truths that ought to be unraveled. And as it stands, the Chief Justice have indicated in his petition to the Ghana police that he had never met
the individual accusing him.
It is only when in court their cases were being called that they get up, and that is the only means he had found to see them. The substantive matter itself is in court. And so commenting on it have become so, serious and dangerous in the sense that we should be able to look at how...
Which matter is in court?
the Ghana Telecom issue.
Yeah,
so it was through that these
Yes.
issues came
Right.
up.
So don't comment about Ghana Telecom.
No, we are not
I'm
commenting
talking about the office of the
Exactly.
Chief Justice.
Exactly. So we need to look at how best we can protect our own systems so that people who would come out to say all manner of things, whether it is true or not, I'm sure whatever have been sent to the Ghana police would be dealt with accordingly. And I was also looking at petitioning the Shraj, which ASEPA have done that by invoking the 1993 Act 456 of our Constitution, and also looking at the Article 281, that they should look into investigating this allegation.
Yeah, but I'm going to ask you a question. Has ASEPA got a role here to ask another body to investigate something when the matter is going to the police, CID? Then you preempt that by saying, "Oh, but by the way, we also want to be relevant, so let's go and ask Shraj to."
In our 1992 Constitution, Article 146, it clearly indicates when we want to even remove the Chief Justice from office.
Mm-hmm.
There are procedural means that one can go through where issues of these allegations can be petitioned
Right. Okay.
by any other person. You understand? So,
Yes.
ASEPA, as a state actor or a citizen of the land,
Right.
has the right
Mm-hmm.
to petition the chief
Shraj. To do
as,
what?
As it's happened to cast investigations into this very allegation because
My problem is, unless you're telling me Shraj has his own investigators that are totally separate from the investigative arm of Ghana, which is the Ghana Police Service, Shraj would only be asking the police service to do that anyway.
in fact, for that, I can't tell whether they work hand in hand with the Ghana Police Service or they pick their information from the Ghana Police Service. Because I remember what happened between the former President John Mahama and then the Ivorian contractor, where Ernesto Yeboah petitioned Shraj. I don't know whether it was the Ghana Police Service that conducted the investigation and then handed over their report to Shraj.
Okay.
But for me, as ASEPA have petitioned Shraj, they should look into the matter. Of course, yes, Chief Justice have also gone through its legal procedural means to ask the General Legal Counsel to call in these people, whilst he has also petitioned the Ghana Police Service to, cast serious investigation into this criminal activity that has been leveled against him. He holds a very supreme office as far as our land is concerned. And for us not to jeopardize with the work of the highest authority when it comes to the judicial service, Shraj should do what it
has to do.
ought
Okay,
do, and then Ghana Police Service should also look at what they ought to do to bring finality to this matter, because we need to protect the integrity and the image of the judicial service.
Right. Peter, do you have any? I'm wondering. The Chief Justice is not going anywhere. If there's a police, he's asked for a formal investigation because it's been put in letters. It's there. I'm accused of taking money, and he says, CID, investigate this matter, because I'm telling you categorically, I've not taken any money. I don't know this person. Don't you allow that process to get to its point of some conclusion? When you're not happy, then you say, "Oh, Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice, step in because this thing is being covered up," or something. I don't know. I'm just asking.
Yes, Kojo, I agree with you because allegations of bribery and corruption is a criminal matter, and the CID has that prosecutorial powers to investigate, other than Shraj, because Shraj do not have that prosecutorial powers. So I am thinking that, petitioning Shraj, Uyuko, any other institution may not be necessary, because until CID is done with their investigations, the outcome will determine whether we should probe further or we should leave it there.
The reason why I'm asking this question, I want to know clearly from your thinking as an observer, are we in danger of politicizing this particular issue? And so that there are people behind the scenes who are going to turn it into these people, they voted against us in the elections petition. Now we have a chance to really muddy his reputation.
I think politicization of this is quite unfortunate because, over the years, it has been difficult to fight corruption in terms of, when it comes to concrete terms. Judicial corruption in concrete terms, it's very difficult. and everything has been about perception until the Tiger IPI team exposed those issues in the judiciary system. That is where we go to understand that, judicial corruption is something real. And for us to, define and have the conversation around politics wouldn't help us, because this to test the law, for us to understand, means of taking out this kind of wild allegations within the judiciary service. Because, to make that wild allegation against the third most respected public officer in the country is a serious thing. Right. It's very serious. And I think the lawyer who did that has the balls. He's very bold to do that. Because it's not an easy thing to do.
Well, there's a question as to whether or not he expected it to go public, and that he was using it only for a very specific argument, because it was attached to other papers that he was presenting, and it only came out because the person he sent it to.
I think he could have exercised patience for the legal counsel to invite them, because the chief had already petitioned the legal counsel for investigations. So why don't you hold on? Get the invitation, get there, and then make your case, rather than making wild allegations against the third most powerful person on the land. I think it's a wild allegation, and once the chief justice had petitioned the CRD, I think we should hold on there.
But trust.
Yes, I also think that, to me, when I read the entire document, I realized that there could be a situation where the chief only wanted to take the case out of the hands of a lawyer Frifa, but he wanted to find a way to get him out. Instead of maybe making it a bit diplomatic, sometimes we do all these things. We do tell, look, my uncle said A, B, C, D, so I can't continue with what we want to do, of which my uncle has not said that.
Right.
So we only sometimes do put away those commentaries just to get rid of certain things. I think that's what the chief might have done. And
let's be clear, the chief himself has said categorically that he did not say that. So when we're saying what the chief
that's my opinion. That's my
opinion. He's come up with a rejoinder.
Yes.
He's asked, and he's made it very clear that he did not ever.
And if you look at the tone the lawyer used in writing, it looks like there has been that conversation.
Right.
So, for me, I think it's quite unfortunate, but that one allegation is serious, and the CRD should take over. Shraj, Yoko, and other institutions, they are just quasi institutions, so they should hold on. They get the CRD right.
All right, let's be clear. The lawyer...
Disagree.
Kwesi Afrifa, the lawyer involved in this particular case, there had been a particular instance prior to this where he had been brought up before the General Legal Council, was actually banned from practicing for 4 years. This was reduced to 18 months on appeal. And unfortunately, 2 individuals who are involved in all this other stuff were part of the group that sat on that particular instance. And so there is a little bit of background which might inform some of the things that have been said and the way things are going at the moment, in terms of him saying that his alleged client said this to him, etc., etc. Honorable, are we in danger of politicizing certain issues? Is there a background to this that you may even know about that we don't have? We have some knowledge. We've spoken to one of the senior lawyers representing the chief in this.
Kojo, I'm sorry to say that there's the allegation by the lawyer Afrifa is just a fallacy, to say the least. It's a fallacy. I think if you look at the history of lawyer Afrifa, and then the conversation between him, he was actually brought on board to assist a lawyer for Nana Ojo-Adom. And I listened carefully to Nana Ojo-Adom and the circumstances that led to Nana Ojo-Adom sacking him as his lawyer. He took $100,000 from Nana Ojo-Adom. And the explanation was that he was using it for ways and means. And the man was not convinced that you could use $100,000 for ways and means. So he demanded his money. He brought him $25,000. The $75,000 is still pending. And on that basis, he wrote to the General Legal Council for them to compel him, investigate him and compel him to refund his $75,000 to him. And the man has also indicated that even before they get to that stage, consistently, He even told Nana Adom that, look, my ban, the Chief Justice was the chairman of the disciplinary committee when I was banned for 4 years. So when he got onto the case, on one of the petitions, he sought to ask the Chief Justice and then Doche to recuse themselves from the matter. So these are things when you put together. And you see, sadly, in this country, you need to throw an allegation and the political party will stand behind you or not. And I hear the NDC is holding a press conference today, but for me...
I'm sorry. You don't know what the MDC is going to talk at this press conference.
Oh, please.
Kojo, no, I'm sorry.
Kojo, you may be sorry for now, but listen, we'll come back here tomorrow to discuss this matter. I'm a politician. I'm a politician. We know how the NDC had treated the Chief Justice till now. They thought it's a big meat for them to. But I think that the Chief Justice has done the honorable thing. That the CID, this is a criminal matter. The CID has been petitioned. Let's allow state institutions to perform their function.
Do we trust them to do a good job?
I do trust them.
Do you?
I do.
After Ejra?
No, but I mean, the Ejra, as we sit here.
I'm sorry. It's a state institution. I'm just asking.
Oh, no, I trust them.
Okay.
I trust them. If you don't trust the police, which institution again will you trust? If you
I'm
don't
not
trust...
answer the question.
The trust is how to do with, by extension, the Ghana Police Service is part of the judiciary. But then you also have the executive arm as the vice president being the chairman of the police council.
You see,
it's quite tricky.
If you go to that tangent.
No, that is why I'm saying it's quite tricky.
I mean, if you speculate to that extent, we may lose trust in our state institutions.
Okay.
I mean, true separation of powers or calling for true independence of our state institutions. Yes, until we get there, I think that you can't trust any institution than the police in this matter to investigate. Look, if you go to Shraj, there are specific portions of these allegations that they are mandated to investigate. Not wholly, because we're talking of criminal matter and criminal investigations. In this matter, it is only the CID. If you talk of conflict of interest, abuse of office, and the rest, then the Shraj could be called on to do that.
Okay, no problem.
You understand? So I think that let us give the police the option to investigate.
Right.
And then the General Legal Council itself also has a mandate. Don't forget, the two gentlemen are all members of the Ghana Bar Association, and they are enjoined if they feel aggrieved or. And in all this, the petition of Nana Adom is still pending before the General Legal Council.
Right. Okay.
And outcome of that decision, because the allegation of taking money for somebody will also be unraveled at the General Legal Council. It will help in the investigations.
Just generally, before we go to the break, I'm going to ask, you say you trust the systems. Do you find that there's generally a lack of trust of the judiciary as we sit here in Ghana today?
Well, anybody who goes to court and did not have a verdict will naturally not trust the judicial system.
So generally, though, you're happy with the judiciary as it stands?
No, for me, I think that we cannot run to any other institution than the judicial system.
Okay.
We'll continue to talk about it until we get the perfect system.
Okay. All right. Peter, quickly on this one.
Well, I've been to court before.
If it goes your way, hooray.
No, not that. I've been to court before. I filed the amicus during the 2020 election thing around the biometric stuff. So, well, when it comes to trust issues, we all have it against all the state institutions over the years. Being police, be the judiciary, the executive, we all have that kind of trust issues. So I think, we want the police to redeem themselves now. This is a test for them to redeem themselves.
Yeah, I asked about the judiciary, but you want to talk about the police.
well, I've said that over the years, there's been a perception until we had a Tiger IPI expose.
Right.
And that has made us known that there are this kind of issues when it comes
You're not answering my question.
when it comes to judiciary. So there are trust issues. There are trust with the judiciary, seriously.
All right. Mark,
It got to a point, the people of Ghana got to know that when it comes to issues of trust with the judiciary, it had gone down. And it came out with a report from Tiger PI. I think from then, the judiciary service is trying its best to redeem its image gradually. And this issue have also broke in, whether it is mere allegations or not, we've subjected it to some state institutions to look at how best we can bring finality to it. So we are looking up to the judiciary to do the needful so that they regain back the image for the people of Ghana to also
We
have
trust the
access to
judiciary. You know, you people, I don't know.
it depends on where you stand. It depends on the lens you wear.
Contempt. You're scared of contempt, right?
Oh, no. This isn't going the way of contempt, you know.
We trust the judiciary.
My trust
I mean, you've got three
my
branches
trust for
of
the
government.
Judiciary is very low.
Right.
And so I am looking at this very circumstance to be a very good platform for them to redeem back the image. I may not be the only person who do not have enough trust for them. There are many others who are listening to us and also have the same sentiments. But there's an opportunity for them to at least redeem back the good image that we all been
Right.
of the good days.
Right. And when we come back from break, I'm going to ask, why is it that everything that we do, even people resigning from public office, then the media has the letter? I don't understand. How much? I really don't understand. But we'll come back after the break and ask that. Nania, before the break, should we trust the judiciary today?
I think, unfortunately, there's a tendency in our society to assume that all institutions are somehow on their last legs, they're moribund. It's good that we should hold everything up to the light. And obviously, the judiciary is in no position to pretend that it hasn't, in the recent past, had severe problems.
Disappointed us a little bit?
Disappointed us a little bit, particularly with their taste for goats. They could have chosen perhaps, a slightly more interesting species of livestock to take an interest in. Without wishing to be flippant about it, though. But, there have been real problems. Having said that, I think we can agree that under certainly Chief Justice Wood and subsequently under Justice Safar Kufu, a great effort was made to clean up.
Right, but the politicization, how much of the problems we have now is because of that?
Everything in Ghana is politicized, and yes, that is a problem. The air that you breathe in Ghana is politicized. And it doesn't help us with improving any of the institutions, strengthening of any of our institutions of state, because people take such reactive positions purely on the basis of whether they're in power or out of power at a given moment in time, and therefore whether they see it as being in their interests to defend the institutions or not. Having said that, some political actors are more guilty of this syndrome than others, which is no excuse for it on either side. But I think it's very easy to snigger and make light of the progress made, and to assume that when anything emerges, there's no smoke without fire, and therefore something must be rotten and something must be uncovered. I wish where we find good examples of public service, we gave it more encouragement, because it needs it if it's to survive. Otherwise, we might as well throw away all our institutions of state, forget about it.
So you're not answering my question. You're doing what everybody else is doing. Do we trust the judiciary?
I trust bits of the judiciary. I think our legal system is a bigger problem, because there's a problem with the speed of delivery of justice and the transparency with which justice is administered.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, almost 9:30 on the nail. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to ask, again, very briefly, I want to know about this, because something that is quite worrisome. That's after the break, though. And my guest, just a quick reminder, Honourable Sylvester Tete, Member of Parliament for Buchano, English, Yamo from constituency, sworn defender of the Parliament. Peter Bismarck Kofi, he was probably a very troublesome child, basically, the way he talks. President of the Liberty and Policy Innovation, and Mark Ewusi Alcon, who today is behaving rather well, PNC National Youth Organizer and President of the Coalition of National Youth Organizers. We'll be back after the break.
Whether you're the most uptight girl or the slayest of all queens, got your nose up in the air, shy, or the I don't care kind of girl, our personalities may differ, but our wahala and our issues are similar. And we need to talk. We need a place and time for just us. Talking from girly to womanly stuff. Welcome to our safe haven, our zone, our spot. Just us, where we talk about everything from love and sex to business and wealth, fashion and cosmetics, cosmetic surgeries, and the boys. My name is Na Ashakor, and I invite you to join my girls and I every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. on Asaase Radio. The voice of our land.
Your late morning radio experience.
Your late morning radio experience is about to change.
The voice.
The voice.
The voice. The voice.
The voice.
The voice.
Yes, it's me, your girl, Caroline.
Get the best of music, art, and lifestyle, and don't forget, it's 99.5.
10 to 1.
Asaase Radio, 99.5. It's Caroline on 10 to 1, baby. You got it.
Hey, what's up? What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Caroline. Make sure to tune in.
You're on Asaase Radio.
Hold not thy peace, O God of my salvation, because the mouth of the wicked out of the secret is open. Come with I. Rastaman throw one stone, and it bring about the feeling to all wicked men. A dropping foot tread, and the man throw one stone, and it bring about the feeling to all wicked men.
The Asaase Breakfast Show.
Only when man like Marcus Garvey speak, wicked men would I hear. You know here. Instead of that, they only sit aside and rob and cheat and oppress the poor. May God, what a sin thing. Like a bingy throw one stone, and it bring about the feelings to all wicked men. What a plot, bingy man throw one stone, and it bring about the feelings to all wicked men. If Rasta make a progressive move, wicked men are red eye. How they want to see the days when them can send out Rasta, can't send I send out Babylon. Bingy man throw one stone, and it bring about the feeling to all wicked men. What? Bingy man a throw one stone, and it bring about the feelings to all wicked men. Things change, my dear friend. The table is turned, my dear friend. And you will have to live and learn and do a friend. President Mandela was in prison for 20 odd years. And he leave from the prison and take the seat of the president. Stone one.
Okay, we're back. The team is still here, and I just wanted to get this out of the way very quickly before we go to our final issue. And I just want to go around the table on something that has become something of a challenge for me personally. I don't know, and I've asked this question several times. I'm asking again, and I might have changed our opinion from the last time. Gentlemen, over the last, let's say 8 to 12 months, there has been a seeming, I don't know, everything, yeah, it is in the public. When somebody decides to send a memo about anything, it could be a memo about you've been transferred to another office, or you've just been moved from this office to the next grade, or you're resigning. By the way, your letter of appointment didn't come in the newspapers. But when you're leaving, you make sure that your letter of resignation gets published. And it's come across, and it's particularly in the public service space. I have a problem with it. I want just your general observations on this need to publicize everything. I'm not saying it should be secret, but that sparks conversations, sparks sensationalism, sparks media incorrect approaches to certain issues. Start with you, Honorable.
Unfortunately, this is how our society has become, and I think that we tend to believe in a public court of opinion and then sympathy, and then everything is either side of the divide. That's where you get a sympathy. If you're a public servant and disciplinary action is taken against you, you have to quickly say you are at the other side of the divide and court their sympathy. And then you see the traditional area where the person hails from also jump into your defense. Because to the extent that when people are lobbying for positions in this country, you see traditional authorities in their clothes and churches, church leadership and all that going to. So immediately somebody is affected by a decision of an institution. Then the person has to run to these people to say that we have been hounded from the public service or in any institution of this country. I think it's quite unfortunate. We must strive to build an independent institution. For me, the media, social media, and we must take pragmatic steps to be able to protect that space. There should be paper traces as to who does these things in very confidential document are being leaked. And institutions must take steps to really track who are the people sending this confidential. It's not for nothing that we label documents confidential. It's not for nothing. I mean, it's not for fun. That you find media houses even showing them on their website and all that. And the media houses are equally culpable because if you intercept a confidential document, and they are proud to put them out there, and these are confidential documents, and they will tell you, we are not obliged to disclose our source. If you are not obliged to disclose, they become a stealer. You might have stolen it. However, you should be able to be hard on these things. I've read highly confidential documents on websites of media houses, and they hide behind the fact that the media is not obliged to disclose their source of information. And there are elements in state institutions who are doing this. Look, the agreement between Parliament and NIV, in fact, is labeled confidential. But in any case, a media house or any Ghanaian has a right to source a public document through the proper channel.
Right.
And it's been allowed, the RTI. Today, as the vice chairman of the Communications Committee, the report of the Ministry of Information on the implementation so far of the RTI, we are sitting on it at 2 p.m. today.
As the vice chairman?
Yes.
Is that your position?
That's my position.
Oh,
as the vice chairman of the...
Well,
thank you.
Now that we know this, we'll know where to come to.
So for me, I think that the Ghanaian public should be educated so that you can source an official document. If you meet all the requirements, it will be granted you. Then people should be penalized for leaking of official document. I'm not too sure in this institution, anybody can leak a very confidential document from this institution and will be allowed to go scot-free. But it's happening with impunity. Even in the police service, you go to the police station and take your statement. The next moment is out there. That is why people fear even to volunteer information to the police service. I've found, look, television, radio discussions, reading verbatim, statement of witnesses to the police station. And I ask myself, can't we do the trace to even arrest and prosecute people who do these things? I'm ashamed and shocked to the extent that I go to the police station and I put down my statement and the next moment it's being read on air. It's being read on air. So if the police that are supposed to protect the sanctity and integrity of the state are culpable of this, I've not come across the armed forces in recent times.
Communications.
Yes, in communications in terms of leakage. But the police, I mean, it's one too many.
Right.
Institutions, public institutions, I mean, whatever document you want to churn out, please don't bother yourself to label it confidential. It will get up because your secretary, the next moment your secretary takes a shot of it and sends it out. Somebody, before you see, you're on social media and it's all out there.
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
Right. Okay.
You have a private conversation with somebody, the person screenshots it and posts it on another platform. Yeah. I can't believe it.
There's got to be a moment in time when we start to respect what is confidential.
Confidentiality, because we've thrown it to the dogs. And today you might think that, you see, The sad thing, I encountered a police officer and says that once a government comes into office, they know the layers by which all the senior officers will be going. So you need to position yourself. Whether you belong to this side of the divide or not, you must necessarily position yourself, because when they leave and you are climbing to the top, so you must necessarily position yourself as to be with your position. So that when they assume power, then obviously you get opportunity to be IGP or a director of operation or something. And it's happening across the institutions. To the extent that you go to the police service, they will tell you, they know who belongs to NPP and who belongs to the NDC.
Right.
So when there's a matter that concerns MPP, you know who to contact for the person to leak the information to you. But we can't build an institution to say that you are MPP, therefore you don't get close to any decision making. You rise through the ranks, and by that position, you are expected to behave. You are expected to protect, because one day you assume the top position as you wish. And if you get there and it happens to you, I mean, it's quite unfortunate.
Quite unfortunate, Honourable Member of Parliament. I'm going to come back to Peter and ask you, what does that speak to the integrity of our public service generally? But before then, just quickly, a press release from the Office of the Second Lady of the Republic of Ghana. The Second Lady, Her Excellency Samira Baumia, consultation with His Excellency, the Vice President, will refund all allowances paid to her since 2017 and will not accept any monies allocated to her pursuant to the recommendations of the Professor Yain Tiamwa Bedu-led committee, as approved by the Parliament on 6 January 2021. Ms. Baumia continues to be committed to the service of the nation to deliver humanitarian interventions and initiatives in the areas of health, education, and economic empowerment. Signed, Senior Aide to the office. That's it. So it's clear, both of them have decided that that's the way they're going to go. We look forward to seeing others maybe follow the same trend. Will women be on the streets marching in defense of their corner? Maybe that's where it's got to go. Would there be a demonstration? Who knows? I didn't say you should go and demonstrate. I'm just asking a question. Peter, the integrity of public service around these things. I'm trying to get a brief comment on this before I go to the last subject for today.
You know, right to the freedom. I mean, right to information is very important. Per all the international, the customary international laws, we have the right to information, the right to access to information. So the freedom of having information or getting access to information is key. However, I think even the Attorney General has an act or something on confidentiality. There are certain documents the government cannot leak to the public. I think there's a law on that. I think it is quite important for us to see what kind of document could be going out and what others, we call them the non-public information, and others are, we say, confidentiality. We have to be very careful, because the way we even expose those information out there and the kind of commentaries we pass around those informations, sometimes they are not even quite important. Sometimes they are also not creating any kind of debates, but then we would create environment where this information becomes a political, should I say, I don't want to use any other word, something like a political conversation. But I think the public sector have to work on how they can secure documents and ensure that privacy is highly protected, because the way the informations are leaking, documents are leaking, letters are leaking, it's too much. And the media too, we have to find a way. Not all information should come out. If you know what happened in Rwanda, what happened in other places, kind of this information that led to some of this conflict.
Is that the media's fault, though? Is that the media's fault?
The media want to be the first to break news. They are looking at the competition of breaking news. So the competition to break news, there's a limitation to everything. Where your right ends is where my right begins. It doesn't mean that you should always speak any information about me and then put it out there to the public for public. Look at what happened to Honorable Kandapa some time ago, where he was videoed in WhatsApp and shared all over to disgrace him. Because we've created a society where people want to embarrass others through leakages of information. And the media and the political parties are happy about that. So they buy information, they leak information, they find ways and means to get information out there just to create some kind of dirty politics, which is to some extent, not helping the entire democracy we have. So I think the public sector should come up again. Maybe you could have a lobbying pass to look at how we can.
Well, some not say that that's censorship, and it's
no, censorship is different. I mean, for example, if I'm being demoted from a position which is quite not relevant to what is going on, and then you put me out there, I think the law should be a bit strict on some of these things.
Okay,
so that we can move forward. I think it's not the best.
Mark,
Uncle Kojo, if you ask me, I would say there's nothing wrong with that. The reason is this: we are talking about the media, which also happens to be.
So there's nothing wrong with letters, private letters, and correspondence being put in the media space.
What is so wrong?
So if you were sacked as the the PNC youth organizer, and in the letter they say you've been found incapable of doing your job properly, you've been found to be fraudulent in your handling of monies attributed to you, and it's all in your letter of dismissal. And then you get that letter quietly, you take it home, you go and cry on your pillow. And then the next day you see it on the front page of the graphic, you will have no problem with that.
Is the document or the content in the document true or not? If it's not true, okay, then I find a legal actions about that or against that. But if it's true, why would I fight or why would I cry? Now, the issue we're talking about has to do with bringing governance close to the doorsteps of the people. And information sharing is one. The fact here
a
is
private confidential document is not information sharing. Well, let's be clear. Confidential.
What is so private that have been leaked to the public domain that have caused a problem?
Excuse me.
What is it? Now,
what is it?
Has to do. Let's say, for instance, what we're discussing now, that initially allowances were being given to our first ladies and second ladies until it came to the public domain. All right. Now, the public outcry have given an informed decision that they should withdraw. They themselves should withdraw the...
That's not an informed decision. Trust me. That is a decision based on the public outcry.
Fine.
That does not constitute an informed decision, please.
I see nothing wrong with information coming out. The reason is this. As part of our democracy, okay, governance must be sent to the doorsteps of our people. How do they get information? It will only come through the media. If there are sensitive things that comes out and it goes against the legal rights or the legal remit of that particular institution, whoever did that should be held accountable.
Okay.
But I've not seen any document that is meant to be that confidential and has come out, which of course a public, outroar, which of course have caused us a lot that we cannot even replenish. The issue of Domeluvo, it came out. All right. Was that too confidential? Was it not to be brought to the people of Ghana?
The Honorable is making a case when it comes to security intelligence, sensitivity of those information. Some of these things shouldn't come out. Look, there was this intellect that Pandit of Burkina Faso want to stage what you call an attack in Ghana. This was a security information. This is an intelligence. All of a sudden, it was everywhere.
So why is it coming out? It is because of the people we have in our public space. Now, we've been politicizing almost everything.
That's why Agokojo is asking, is it a problem?
Honorable make the point that even in the police service, if you are acting and you don't act properly, the next administration that comes may probably sanction you, or the necessary position that you are supposed to.
Okay, Mark, I have to move on. So you have no problem with leaked documents. Okay,
just
fine.
That we need to look at how to manage them. Because we don't manage them well.
Who manage them? Who manage what?
The same public officers.
Yeah, so
So if you allow yourself, the public would always open its ears to get information. And so if you allow yourself for sensitive documents to come out, then it's up to you yourself. If it comes out, and for me as a public, consumer, I have no problem with it, and it is to my benefit. Why would I cry over it?
No problem. So you won't cry. As you just want the information.
I just want the
information. Be careful that tomorrow, where you sit, today is against somebody and you are comfortable receiving the information. It may border on national security. It may border on the integrity of this country. For whatever we do, there's the sanctity of this country first. And the interpretation people put on before they realize, you see where we're going. Today, the First Lady had issued a statement refunding all allowances paid her from 2017 to date. The Second Lady had followed suit. There's another group of people pushing for Lordina Mahama to do same. That's absurd. There are other former First Ladies who may not be in a financial position or capacity to do same, you put in unnecessary pressure on these people. These are things that we should look at. So don't only be excited. There are proper official channel of accessing information in this country, and we must let it work. If you seek an information, look, somebody wrote to AMA through the RTI and source information how members of parliament have utilized their share of the common fund. And all information has been provided them.
Right.
That's an official and acceptable way of accessing information. Somebody sits somewhere and impugn the integrity of a member of parliament, impugn the integrity of a chief executive somewhere without recourse to proper official documents.
So if it goes against the fundamental right, you seek legal actions. Now,
excuse me. By which time the damage has been done to your public perspective.
Some of these issues
Mark,
will
please
put our
stop.
public officers to check.
Mark.
Yes,
Mark, please, I beg you.
When
I come and stand here,
boot for boot issue. I mean,
the public would always want to have information.
No, this is about boot for boot.
You're saying that it's okay for me to say honorable is say it first, and then wait for him 2 months from now, when his wife has already left him, his children are disappointed with him, that his community doesn't want to see him again.
That is why we need to be very careful as public officers.
Allegations, sometimes allegations, mere allegations. People use that.
The video that came out from Kandapa, ever since, have you ever seen any video like
$28 million.
It means that a lot of things
$28 million.
So we are all careful.
$28 million. The document is out.
Yes, it must come for us to discuss.
Mark, let's discuss $28 million. We got a little bit of time.
$28 million. Yes, our MPs, we know the good work they are doing for us when it comes to their legislative activities. I've said that, why don't we look at giving first-time MPs loans to acquire cars? And then subsequent years they spend in Parliament, they can go negotiate themselves with their own monies and then get the cars. Because when a member of parliament is to stay for like 4 consecutive times or 5 consecutive times, it means that the state will be buying cars for him or her for 4 good times, when in his own pocket he may even buy just one V8 and then use for maybe 6 years or 7 years before thinking of changing it. You understand? And they take good care of their cars. I know there are most MPs who have received cars and some of them are parked. But first-time MPs like Honorable should be given that facility. But subsequent years he spends in parliament.
So you have no problem with the car loan for members of parliament?
First time I don't have any problem.
Okay, so let me ask you this. I mean, one of the things that, again, clear categorical information, is that the state pays 60% of that car loan. And the MP only pays 40% anyway. So is that fair?
I think that should be
No. I'm asking you why. Because Honorable is saying don't ask.
So it will be. I've stated my position. That's fine.
Okay, fine. There should be. That's it. You're not worried about the percentage.
No. I'm worried about the percentage. Yes, it's 40. A loan is a loan, right? Maybe the interest rate on it could be lower. 1%.
Non-existent. Why would they not just go to a car dealership and get an interest-free loan? I mean, I don't even understand.
Exactly. I think I've concluded. You have said it all.
Yeah. I mean, but the percentage. I want to talk before Honorable jumps in. I know you have it.
No. I'm not happy with the percentage because it looks like you are giving free money to the MPs, right?
But then again, Peter, this is the problem. Is it really free money? Because the comparison that they make is they're public servants like everybody else. And the other guys are getting the free car that they don't have to get a loan for. So even the 40%, you think you're giving it to them free. They should not even be paying that.
You have given them free officers. All the Article 71 officers, they all have cars, except the MPs, which they have to negotiate based on interest rate or free loans or whatever loans they have to get. I am thinking, once you are giving the Article 71 office holders cars, why don't you also provide them cars when you provide them officers?
Right.
So it shouldn't be in a form of loans and I'm paying 60% or 70%. But then if you have this kind of calculation, obviously it becomes a cheat because it looks like it is free, it is not free. But when you have an office where a car is attached to it. When you are leaving, leave the car. Remember, because all those Article
After
71
4 years,
holders.
who won that car? I mean, I'm sorry.
But Article 71 office holders, they all leave those cars unless it is auctioned.
Honorable is
When the cars are auctioned, you buy and the state gets something.
I'm a typical example of having worked in the executive and now in the legislature. I was the chief executive officer of the National Youth Authority. In my office, I had a V8 and I had a saloon car. Chauffeur driven, fuel and maintained. For me, I'm in Accra, so probably my V8 will last longer than somebody going to Yagaba Kubari, Sandema, Western North, Volta region, Uti region, and the rest. Look, listen. $100,000 is advanced to members of parliament and then you pay, you fuel it, you maintain it for 4 years. My colleagues in the executive are given 2 vehicles. The state fuel it for them. They maintain for them. The cost of maintaining this car for 4 years, the cost of fueling it to work for the state, and the cost of paying your own driver for 4 years. Put all together. Me, I'll be happy to say that I'm a member of parliament. A V8 or whichever car the state decides is at my disposal. At the end of 4 years, my 40% will buy me a brand new car. But let's also agree that this is a defined term. It's like a contract base. It's not a continuous thing. Every parliament is distinct. So for people making the argument that, oh, you are continuing MP, there's nothing like a continuing MP. It's a distinct term of 4 years.
So does your name change?
The conditions. No. Please. Let's take this argument properly. The 7th parliament is distinct from the 8th parliament.
Right.
The conditions of coming to parliament in each term is the same. I mean, or it's different. For me, I'm in the 8th parliament. If I want to come to the 9th parliament, I go through the same processes of coming to the 9th parliament, right? So the issue of car, if the state want to really quantify how much is spent on executives in terms of vehicles, maintenance, fuel, you think that the MPs have been shortchanged. And that's the argument. I've made the point that, look, leadership should reject this loan issue and let the state provide us vehicles as they provide to the executives and then to the legislature.
Article 71.
Yes, they should do same for us. At the end of 4 years, I leave the car. Whatever the state want to do with it is their vehicle. When I was leaving the National Youth Authority, I left it there.
That's my argument.
So my contributions that they take from my salary every month for 4 years will be enough for me to buy a brand new car at the end of my tenure. And I'll drive a brand new car. People's car cannot be driven after 4 years. If you see where they're coming from, I'm fortunate to be in Accra. Somebody going to Zabzugu with his car for 4 years, he will value nothing for the state.
Okay.
Maintenance, you go to that constituency, you come. Go to Gambot and find out how much you pay for service, how much fuel you buy, and how much you pay your driver for 4 years. So I think that the conversation is good. Let us all be treated fairly. And that is the only
compared
way.
To who?
Yeah. Compared to the executive and the legislature.
No. Why are you comparing yourself to the? You're a member. You represent the commons. That's me. And by the way, I'm feeling
no.
That's by extension.
Honorable.
No, but if
you're an extension of me. Yeah. I'm fueling my own car. I'm maintaining my own car. I'm running it where I'm hiring my own driver. If you represent me, feel my pain.
So
Uncle Kojo, he's placed under Article 71.
You
get it? And they all own cars, state-owned cars. So obviously,
if we have to represent the commons, and that is the explanation and understanding, then from the president to the lowest person under the Article 71 should be treated same.
Okay, understood. Fair comment, and definitely the other challenge that always comes up is when we see these large numbers, ladies and gentlemen, when you see the numbers, sometimes we need to interrogate the numbers so we're clear on this, because you see 28 million, loan. And obviously there's suggestions about how you can better work it, but not necessarily to say that MPs don't deserve their vehicles. They can't do their work otherwise. And we've run out of time, Nana. So final comment, then we have to go. But gentlemen, thank you as always. And as usual, the defender of the legislature.
I'm obliged. I mean, that's an institution that we cannot do with. Unfortunately, whether we've gotten to the peak or not, there's still room for improvement in our legislative work. We still need to improve our oversight responsibility over the public purse, and we are not immune from any criticism for that matter. It should be constructive to help Parliament improve our capacity and improve our service delivery to our people. I mean, in this country, if you look at our statute, Parliament or legislators are to make laws for us, but they go beyond even do that. Issue of advocacy, community development are all part of it. People should be encouraged to do that more for the local people in our community. So for we welcome the criticisms, but it has to be constructive. They just put us on our toes to work for this country.
Surely do that.
Making a final statement on behalf of the legislature is the Honourable Sylvester Tete, member of Parliament for Bochanio Ingleshi, Amanfum constituency. Peter Bismarck was here as well. Peter Bismarck Kofi today was quite a lot more sober than he has been. President of the Institute for Liberty and Innovation. A little bit concerned about why the money was given back by the first and second lady. He doesn't see the point of that, but we should focus on either legalizing the salaries issue or just simply saying we stay with the convention and just have no more talk about it and move on. Mark has been, like we said, kept him on his toes today. Mark Ewusiako, PNC National Youth Organizer and President of the Coalition of National Youth Organizers, still taking a fairly aggressive position on why should they even get any money at all and why are we talking about it at all. And in fact, we shouldn't trust any institution at all of governance because they're not doing any good work. Yeah, in a nutshell, that's what he said. Nana?
Yes, well, my comment on MPs' vehicles, I can't drive, so it's irrelevant. It's a bit like an allowance and a salary. But there's a message from the Ghana Nigeria Business Council, which in partnership with the Ghana Investment Promotion Centre is presenting its first breakfast meeting titled Real Opportunities in Ghana, taking place on Tuesday, the 20th of July at the Elisa Hotel in Ridge in Accra. The breakfast series will explore low-hanging investment opportunities for Nigerian businesses and investors who have a keen eye on Ghana. To register your attendance, call 050-902-8695 or visit the website www.the GNBC,
All right, thanks very much. And we're going to say goodbye now. And thanks to the gentlemen, the panel, for their sterling insights this morning. Coming up next is the news at the top of the hour. And then immediately after that, we're going to Kumasi because we like to do that. What's that girl's name again?
Naklode.
Naklode brings you brunch all the way from Kumasi, from Ahunjo, 98.5. That's Asaase in Kumasi on the brunch. That's what's that program called? 10 to 1, is it? Oh, okay. Until tomorrow then. Bye-bye. Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye from me.
Right.
The Asaase Breakfast Show. Yes.
Asaase Radio 99.5.